Does anyone want to do an intro? Those are things that you're supposed to do in order to brand your podcast effectively. Yeah. Introduce us, GameBoiz.
That's right. It's Wednesday. It's 6 p.m. Eastern, and you're joining the House of Decline.
House of Decline. Soundboard.
Yeah, Chris Monica air horn.
How do you even get a soundboard and doing everything through Zoom? How does Stav do it?
I don't know. I should message Chris because my friend Chris Monica was 20 minutes late to an RPG we played in Discord because he was figuring out how to integrate his soundboard into it. So as soon as he logged in, it immediately was just air horns for like 10 minutes.
Oh, man.
But I guess he figured it out because he really ruined everyone's ears for a little while.
Oh, God.
The voice you're hearing is, of course, Lux, one half of the GameBoiz. The other is, of course, Griffin, or Griff, as he prefers to be, young Griff, as he prefers to be called.
young Griff, the secret heir to the Targaryen throne. Just kidding. It's a twist. Spoilers for Dance of Dragons. I'm sorry.
Oh,
and they are part of the GameBoiz podcast. They are also multi-hyphenates in their own right. So check out their various projects. We will link to their various social medias and plugs in the descripts. So, GameBoiz, what have you been thinking about?
Well, okay, we can talk about it. Griffin and I accidentally got ourselves probationarily canceled. I will say this. We're making jokes about it. We did kind of fuck up. I just don't think we fucked up as badly as it feels like people think we did.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think that's all I'm supposed to say, right?
Yeah, I'll break down the story because I feel like people are madder at you than they are at me because no one's contacted me about it.
No one knows who you are somehow.
Yeah, totally. So basically, we did this bit where we were joking about could Louis C.K. get uncanceled if he started killing cops for $100 a cop. What we should have done, point of the bit...
Crickets from the host.
Well, the point of the bit...
Where did the bit go wrong?
Because what it was supposed to be was sort of like comedian activism is like performative and silly. And so LA Comics would be like, what do I do? We're supposed to hate Louis C.K. and the cops.
Here's where it actually came from because I re-listened to the larger clip because I was like, where did this joke come from? And what happened was we were talking about Ice Cube's tweets. Mm-hmm. And what happened was Ice Cube had done a lot of fuck the system, fuck the police tweets, and then all of a sudden started doing anti-Semitic tweets.
Yeah.
Lux is Jewish, and Lux made the observation, man, you're going to have to like, you know, it's tough when like people who do bad things say fuck the police. So then I was like, oh, people who do bad things, what if fucking Louis C.K. did it? And I think the part where we fucked up on was like maybe we should have role played as like the world reacting to Louis trying to do that and being
I think that was the missing beat. Was us being like someone being like, we love that you killed all these policemen, Louis. We really do. We appreciate it. But you're still in big trouble because what you did was unforgivably wrong.
Oh, you're still canceled.
You're still shackled. Yeah, right.
Let me just say, the lion's share of boomers I have talked to have not canceled Louis C.K., and they're the ones still paying for Louis C.K. tickets.
Right. Yeah, but they'll never pay for my tickets, so I care not for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, Louis C.K. is only half canceled. He's in this nebulous realm, which is what I'm saying. I was talking to you earlier.
I'll fully cancel Louis C.K. That was the point.
I'll fully cancel Louis C.K. Yeah. But in terms of like actual, does he still have a career? Yes, he can still make money off of his fucking
because if you look at it, all these guys that do get canceled, like what is really canceled? Because a lot of them start doing shows like 3 months later, and like it's not like they get to go to most of the same comedy clubs they were at before. And like, it seems like certain sectors of the comedy world just move on from it because they don't really care about the issue.
Yeah, I mean, what canceled really means is like relegated to the boomer zone. Like
you've been sent to the boomer zone in prison for 1,000 years.
Right, because like Uncle Tom, I'm not gonna do that one. Uncle Terrence, like isn't gonna give a shit because he's a fucked up 55-year-old man who owns a gun and like reads Maxim for the jack off pictures. Like he doesn't give a shit about Lucy. So like. Yeah, he's canceled like me and everyone I know and our buds. Like, we're all going to be like, fuck Lucy K, we're not going to get any more money. But like, weird rich uncles who own boats and shirts that say like, living my best life, looking at my hot wife. Like, they're fine. Like, they're still going to do it. So it's a weird dynamic. What like the cancel culture as a whole, like how it works, is like a very confusing thing to me. But that's
just to be clear, just to put it in the clear,
right. Just to be clear,
you're not suggesting. I want to be clear. You're not suggesting that Louis C.K. can tithe for his sexual assaults by murdering police. You're saying that's not true.
No,
he can't do that. Okay,
he cannot be. He cannot make up for it, but it would be good if he killed the police.
I'm saying it'd be hilarious if he tried to do that. I'm not saying that would work.
Yeah,
right. That's the difference, right?
Yeah, it's like, and that's what we didn't get across, really.
Yeah, yes. I guess we just assumed that people would just assume that idea is crazy, and why would anyone wake up and think that as a real thought?
This has been Bit Autopsy.
Yeah.
House of Decline.
What everyone loves to hear is two comedy guys breaking down why their bit went wrong. But that's the best audio in the world.
But I think number one, it was a confluence of events. We recorded it, and then hours later, Chris D'Elia was canceled.
And we talk about the groomers.
Absolutely, because it's like me and Lux are on multiple episodes, like very clearly. I mean, we're very clearly left-wing people. We believe in all these issues. We're also
dumb goosters.
I'm receiving intel.
You're receiving Chris D'Elia intel?
Yeah, I'm receiving new Chris.
What did he do exactly? He was just doing Drake shit to 16-year-old girls. Did he actually? Was there full?
Yeah. When can we get Drake?
I mean, it looked like we got Drake, and everyone was like, "I really love Started at the Bottom." Though. But no, fuck Drake. Cancel Drake for sure. But no, it's the as the homie Tim Faust referred to him, Chris de Ephebophilia.
Yes.
His deal is that he solicited nudes and like consistently hit up underage girls whenever he would be touring. It's unclear if he like actually did sex with anyone.
So we're talking about some Franco shit, or for some gamer shit, some Pro Jared shit. He was doing some Pro Jared.
The thing is, though, it's not a good time. Well, what I mean is it's a great time to be canceled right now when you can't get gigs anyway. So,
if you had to do it,
I mean, this is really going to work out.
Griffin.
I thought this guy was not funny from the beginning. So
right, well, that's the joy with the Chris D'Elia shit. Is like,
I'm kidding. I know what you meant.
That's the joy with the Chris D'Elia shit, is that no one has to be like, oh, all of that great work that I'll never listen to again. It's like, oh, I guess I can't watch Undateable. Like, oh no.
I have to find a new guy that looks like an eagle. I feel like that's the number one thing about him.
Yeah. Oh my god, I would like. You know why Louis C.K. was so disappointing to a certain type of beardo like me? Was because he was very influential in his rhetoric, and to some degree, an impressionable person could build a moral universe around his comedy. And I like the idea of some barstool guy building a moral universe around Chris D'Elia's comedy. Mm-hmm. Man, when it turned out that D'Elia was a creep, it shattered my whole existence, bro. And like, what does it even mean? What does it even mean if the guy who articulated a bunch of retard jokes also solicit nudes from hot young ladies?
Well, I thought he just hated drunk girls for no reason. I thought he innocently hated when women drank alcohol.
Yeah, like a cool guy. Griffin, what was the intel you just got? Because you looked like it was either bad or dumb.
Oh no, I'm just it's both. It's both. But yeah, we're gonna have some people on the podcast next week, maybe. That's annoying thing too, though, is like I see kind of outside, I see a lot of people performatively booking, as in like kind of like virtue signaling with like who they're booking. And like we do need to get a lot more like black guests on our shows and stuff like that. But I feel like we need to do it in a way where we treat them just like a normal guest, like every other guest, not like this is like the POC episode or like this is the episode with a girl on it.
Also,
like,
it does speak
this
to
is
like,
the word for word recitation of Nanette.
yeah.
This is
I'm on the net season 2. You guys seen the new special?
No, I haven't seen it.
Not yet.
Oh, strap in.
Did you say not yet? Kind of like Nanette?
Kind of just like hedging.
One of the things that
hedging
the
it
problem with doing the show the way we do the show, and like we could probably do better at this, but also it's like sort of essential thing is that like we mostly book from like the comedy community in LA, which it'll shock you to know a lot of the people who pay to work to do stuff at theaters, and thusly who we know, a lot of white dudes. No, it's not a mega diverse crowd. And we can definitely do better at seeking people out. There's no doubt about it. Because you can always do better at that shit. But like, it does speak to like the nature of the beast, right? That just like the people in that world there's a typography, you know? And so
we have
like,
had only white guests so far.
yeah, well, even Canada,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, Dave is
White male
Italian.
guests.
Dave would heavily identify as Italian.
Or Jewish. So that's
I don't know.
It's not white.
Yeah,
we
I'm
want.
I'm Jewish, and so that's like a cool fact.
There you go.
No, Dave is 100% only Italian.
Have you ever noticed this about other Jewish people? It's something that I've noticed in myself. This
Almost
conflict
certainly.
in me, where I so desperately want to be not white, but still take advantage of the white privilege that we got after World War II.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's this discussion of like, some people are like, Jews aren't white. Some people are like, Jews are white. The actual answer is that like, Jews are, broadly speaking, white, aside from Jews of color, obviously, on like a highly probationary basis. Like, we just all are aware that like, when they start pulling back, like when they start narrowing the borders of who gets to be treated like white people,
Yes.
we're like the first ones who are going to get the boot.
It's Armenians before us and then us.
Yeah.
Armenians only recently got in because of the Kardashians.
Yeah, fair point. But yeah, we're gonna be like that's the dynamic, right? It's like, look, we do get a lot of white privilege, especially because like you look at me. Okay, I'm a bad example because they don't get much more Jewish looking than this, but like you look at the majority of Jewish people, and you can't 100% off the top be like Jewish. Right, like you can't like eyeball that. Like that's like you have to learn that about someone. So for in a lot of contexts, when people are like, "Oh, I feel safer around this guy because they're white and I'm racist," right? Like we get that, but we don't. But like, it wasn't that long ago that we did not get that, and it is fresh in everyone's memory. And also like, there's a lot of discourse that exists in the world that reminds us that like, it can go away at any time. Like,
yeah.
Like Ice Cube blaming, saying that the devil lives in a cube and that the cube is Jewish.
Hey,
what is this black cube of Satan? Like,
well, I'm with him on the cube part. I'm not with him when he fuses the cube. When he puts the cube in the star, that's where it goes wrong.
Griffin, I think you know the most about the cube of everyone. So what do you know about this cube?
Professor Griff, speaking of anti-Semitism and hip-hop, Professor Griff, can you please lead us through Ice Cubanon?
Yeah, well, I can QAnon. Yeah, wow, that's my new Twitter handle. Yeah, like, well, the cube is sort of like it's like a kind of like a fortress of it's a fortress of darkness. I guess Satan resides within it. But it's kind of like I would compare it to the Allspark in Transformers. Where, you know, the Allspark is the cube that gives life. Well, it gives life to the same cube gives life to, like, you know, demons and Satan stuff, bad stuff. You know, it's the evil Allspark. And
okay,
I think the cube is fine.
Okay, the cube. From whence does this cube come from?
Oh, I have no idea like what origin the Satan cube comes from, actually. But I am curious.
Okay.
Wait, what are you referring to? Is this in reference to Ice Cube's anti-Semitic tweets? I've lost the thread.
That's what
Here's
it
what
is.
happened. Here's what happened. I'll break it down. So basically, he was like, "Fuck the cops, fuck the system. The system is Satan. The system is Satan's cube. That's all good. That all fits. That tracks." And then he's like, "But also, that Satan cube is in the Jewish star." And I was like, "That's that's where it doesn't. That's where you lost me.
I actually think this is a super interesting topic because I think there has always been this back and forth of Jewish people and black people in the hip hop community. The drama in the entire Straight Outta Compton movie was based off of Jerry Heller versus NWA, and which was directly about, exchanging blows from this. It's weird. You're in a stratified position because as a Jew, you're told from the beginning at Passover, we were slaves, so we're like black people in a way. So you have this weird kinship or implicit understanding, but then you also get the white privilege on top of that. So you don't actually. So there's this sort of push and pull. And you see this relationship of exploitation with Jews and black people in the community. It's sort of what in the hip hop community, it's what Uncut Gems was supposed to be more about, because they had originally cast Amari Stoudemire, who was a black Jew, and it starts off with Beta Israelites and all that stuff. But I think that is like a very deep topic in the history of hip hop.
I think he's getting it wrong, because if they're both groups that have been oppressed, then they should band together, not attack each other, right? I don't know.
Absolutely, but I mean, guy. It's the same with like NOI or Black Israelites too. They don't like Jews either because they see them as where. It's funny where the right-wing conspiracists see Jews as the tool of minorities, and Jews want to do miscegenation for some reason. Like the NOI guys or the Black Israelites see Jews as in league with white people and trying to destroy black people, because like that's what's great about the Jews is they're sort of this force that can be seen as representing all evils in the world. Because they have a lot of power culturally. Maybe.
Yeah, it's all because I forget which fucking pope did it, but there was that one pope who was like, Christians can't lend money, only Jews. And everyone was like, I guess we got to borrow money from Jews. And then they were like, wait, they want us to pay them back? And then they got all mad about it. Also, I guess we did usury, which is like a normal thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird spiral. Okay, so I looked up this cube. And the first Google reaction I got, Google result I got, was from aliennationcorporation.com. An article titled "Read This Before They Remove It: The Saturn and the Cube." And I read it, and I don't know any more about anything than I did when I started.
Well, I think a part of it's Egyptian, right? That the cube.
Is this Hotep stuff?
I think it's like tied to, right? Well, who knows, man? I have no idea. All we can say is that like Ice Cube tweeted a bunch of cool shit, started tweeting Hotep shit, and then transitioned to anti-Semitic shit, and it was a very confusing day for me.
I think I accept a certain measure of. I think it's okay for rappers to be a little anti-Semitic. That is my hot take. That is what I think. I think because of the historical exploitation, because of the Rick Rubins of the industry, I think it is okay. I mean, fair point, Jay-Z. You remember that controversy in the story of OJ where Jay-Z says, you know how Jews got all the property in America, which is, a classic anti-Semitic canard, and he got a little flack for that. But then he was like, no, I love the Jews. I want to take lessons from them because they were an oppressed minority that managed to use capitalism to their advantage, which is Jay-Z's whole thesis is like use capitalism to solve racism.
What I find interesting about the Ice Cube stuff is that it seems to come from like kind of a confused place when it comes to this, like the spirituality or the supernatural elements that he's referring to. And that's what I don't understand. It's like like when he says Satan, is he referring like Satan as opposed to a Christian God, or like what?
I don't know. Like,
realm are we in?
I feel like it just feels like Satan is just so much more real to think about than God. Like, because our lives are so hellish that I don't know. It's just like,
right. I mean, it's like that shirt Rory,
way more real than God.
That shirt Rory made with the cat snake that says, hell is real, heaven is fake.
Yeah.
Like that just seems true to me.
It just seems more likely.
Yeah.
Oh man, so there's only Satan. I'm just
See, that's the bullshit of no. That's
Taking notes.
Christianity, though, because in Jewish, God is the cause of all suffering. That's what all the Old Testament is about.
interesting.
I'm not feeling too good about you today. Kill your son.
It is true. God is sort of like a capricious psycho in the Old Testament.
Yeah,
Which
but
feels-
that's great.
which
That's
feels
a much
more-
better explanation for the universe.
Yeah,
It
he's
feels
messy.
much. It feels much more real because it feels like Lovecraftian almost, where it's just
Mhm.
like you cannot understand the whims of a monster so powerful he could blink your planet out of existence, and it's like, no, we can't. That's
Mhm.
why when he's like, "Kill your son for me," everyone's like, "You got it, dude!" Like, absolutely.
You got to do it, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And it's so spooky that he made us in his own image, which means that he could be anyone. This just all-powerful thing that could destroy everything all at once in the form of you. And he
Whoa.
looks exactly like you.
I just
Oh, my
had
God.
the plot for a hack sci-fi novel just shot into my head.
Nice.
The
Check
Chris
this-
D'Elia of sci-fi novels. Sorry.
Yeah, no, fair. Check this out. Ready? Imagine a book about people. They make robots to do things. And of course, they make robots look exactly like them because
Well-
that's what always happens. And then one of the robots invents
So you
time
can fuck the
travel
robots.
and goes back to the beginning and starts the universe, and that's God. And then it's an endless cycle in which the robot makes humans that look like the robot. And then the humans make robots that look like them, and then Griffin shoots himself in the fucking
Is anyone
head.
still here?
There you, no, so an endless causality loop of why do we look like this? Why do we have penises and not
Mhm.
big anemones?
I
Just a
told
lack
you
of
it was-
imagination.
Yeah, I told you it was a hack idea. I premised this.
That
Oh.
is very similar to an Isaac Asimov one, which is
Yeah.
the last question.
The
That's
ultimate
what it reminds
hack.
me of. Isaac Hackamov. But
Okay.
Invented the word
wait, give me your
robots.
hot take on Isaac Asimov. I'm
no, he's
interested.
actually very good. I think Asimov was great. I was just making a joke. Okay, can I change the subject for a second to get something that's
Hell
going to
yeah.
spark Griffin's joy and should spark everyone's joy?
Okay.
Word.
Fucking Pokemon Snap 2, you guys, coming to the
Yeah.
Switch. It's happening.
Huge shit. Yeah, you're right. This day did start good. I forgot that.
Yeah, there's big positive news happening.
I rolled out of bed with a text from Lux saying Pokemon Snap. They did it. Wow, it looks beautiful. I'm Wailord looking nice and thick.
Yeah, Wailord looking thick for sure. It just like it's been so long, and
Yeah.
every time a new Nintendo console comes out,
Yeah.
every human being on Earth is like, it's time for them to remake Snap.
Mm-hmm.
The time
I
has
do
come.
like Snap. I think it's good. Do you think that a lot of people gained an interest in zoology because of Pokemon Snap?
Interesting.
Because I do think I have this one weird friend on Facebook that is very into zoology as well as Pokemon
Mhm.
and archaeology, and sort of like they have a interest where it's like they love talking about taxonomy and Latin names, but it also dovetails into this deep abiding love of Pokemon as well. And I
Mhm.
wonder if sort of the gentler approach of Pokemon Snap, where you're just a nature photographer as opposed to a cockfighter, is the reason why this may have happened.
Well, yeah. I played a lot of Halo growing up, which is why I'm so fucking jacked and wearing a helmet.
That's
Huge
why you're
suit.
Master Chef.
That's why I'm Master Chef. I mean, listen, with like the Pokemon Snap for me, and I think why it is one of the most popular side Pokemon games is because it shows you a world in which you're not maiming and torturing animals. You're just letting them fucking roam free. Like they have their own civilizations, and like they're just vibing. Like you never get to see Pokemon just vibe. Like they're always like scared animals like attacking you in the fucking grass, or or you're fighting them head to head in houses, but like this game, they're just like they're riding each other around, they're just sitting down, hanging out. It's great.
The other important thing that Pokemon Snap teaches you is that there is objective criteria for what makes good art.
Yes.
Yeah,
100%.
totally. That there is
Yeah.
an evaluative mechanism for photography.
Yes.
Exactly.
God, I wish Professor Oak could just fucking just tear up people on Instagram. Just be like, it was okay.
That would actually be a
Not
very
great.
funny. That would be a very funny Instagram account to make.
There's
Professor Oak
there's
reviews.
just one authority on the
You
pictures.
just take everyone's already uploaded Instagram and you just Photoshop Professor Oak on top of it to the side, just being like, not so good, a little off.
And like a word ball where it's like, yeah, subject's off center, a little blurry. It's B minus.
There you go. You got a bit for whatever YouTube imprint you got going on.
Griffin, if we can make it through today without going to a podcaster jail, we should create a viral Instagram account where we do that.
Yeah, I think so.
Mhm. Welcome back.
I mean, dude, like Pokemon Snap. I mean, like I had the Pikachu N64. You guys remember that one?
Oh
it was
yeah.
yellow.
Had the Pikachu on it and had the Pokemon Snap in there. I mean, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful time to be alive. And yeah, I mean, it just goes to show like Nintendo just never has to like reinvent the wheel. They can just keep making the same 4 franchises for the next 15 years.
And we're all gonna fucking love it.
Okay,
Yeah.
Steven, I know you are not a Pokemon fan.
Well,
Are you not a Pokemon fan? Do you have any love or yen of Pokemon?
I was originally. And
when you was 8 years old.
Yeah, when I was 8, I had a Game Boy Pocket and everyone fucking played Pokemon and it was awesome. And we found out about the rare candy cheat and, made
Life was
history.
good.
It was like
it was a
making
more
history
intimate Pokemon.
when that happened. I mean, it was like a communal experience that was really cool because we were all playing Game Boys during when we had recess. So yeah, I was a fan of Pokemon on Game Boy. I had some cards, but I had to give them away at some point.
Why have you lost interest with Pokemon when we man children have maintained our love?
Dude, I have 77 games in Steam. I just have been playing other shit. Okay.
But none of them Pokemon.
Yeah, none of them are Pokemon. I'm sorry.
Not a single dogfighting simulator to be found. And you know what? That's something you might need to examine.
More of a Digimon kind of guy.
You play Cyber
I
Sleuth?
wished.
Cyber Sleuth, that's a good Digimon Cyber Sleuth, that's a good game. That's a solid
Actually,
JRPG.
the original Digimon World for PlayStation is a weird, maddening, but fascinating game, which is like, I would recommend it just based off of its weirdness alone and in terms of its game mechanics.
All of the Digimon games are very strange, but some of them are strange in really fun, cool ways, like Cyber Sleuth or Digimon World, or even the weird fighting, like even the weird like Super Smash Bros. But Digimon one.
Mm-hmm.
Like they all are pretty fun. Some of them are just like totally unplayable gibberish.
Yes.
But some of them are like legit pretty good. The thing with Pokemon Snap that I love, that is like why it's so good to me, is that like, so you guys remember Avatar, right?
Yeah.
Not the last
Shyamalan's great film.
No, not The Last Airbender, not M. Night
Oh.
Shyamalan's best work. I mean, James Cameron's experiment in how good can CGI possibly be.
Avatar 1 out of 5.
And also the most wonderful fetishization of furries and indigenous people.
Yeah, right. Well,
Together
see,
at
this
once.
is the thing. You're getting at sort of the key here, which is that the movie is not a good movie, but the world is incredible. And
Is it though?
It's awesome. What are you talking? It's like full of crazy animals and it looks cool as shit.
I guess
like-
I just forgot. I just remember the big tree.
There's like all these weird little critters and plants, and there's like flying horse dogs and like
I watched that at 480 pixels from a streaming website.
that's like
So-
true.
The only way to
Wow.
watch Avatar,
That's
baby.
you lost the only good quality about
know.
Avatar.
The
I was
only
like,
good
what?
thing is how real the fake shit looks, and that
No.
goes right out the window at 480.
That
so
shit looks like
funny.
ass. The
Yeah.
production design of Avatar sucks. It's
I did it
not
on purpose.
immersive because it looks too cartoonish.
No, I
You're
love how
right. It's
cartoony
not
it looks.
It's not immersive, and it looks like all green and blue. Like everything is so green and blue in that movie.
Yeah, but I don't know. I fuck with it. I like the world. I like the quality of the CG, and I would happily spend a movie's worth of money to sit in a theater for 2 hours and have like a David Attenborough Planet Earth set on Pandora.
Mhm.
Like for me, that would be way better than Avatar the movie, and that's what Pokemon Snap is, and like that's why it's great. Is that
I
like
see what you're saying?
it
Okay.
takes this world that at least I think is super fun and cool, and would love to see more of just like how it works on the day to day, and just sticks you right in it, and is like, enjoy, take some pictures, just relax. Like you're on rails in a car, you don't have to drive it. Your only job is to photograph Pokemon like playing on surfboards.
Mhm. I would say, but the reason why the world of Pokemon Snap, I would say, is more immersive than the world of Avatar is because Pokemon Snap doesn't have any pretensions to realism. Because Avatar is saying it is the most immersive thing ever, and it is the most photorealistic CGI. It is creating these, cartoon characters to be nice and fuckable. Because it has these pretensions towards realism, you're constantly evaluating how realistic everything is, where that's not really a problem in Pokemon Snap. At least that's the reason why Avatar breaks immersion for me.
Yeah, well, that's my issue with Avatar is like Avatar would be great if you took out every human-shaped object. If it was just the weird animals and trees, and there was not like a story, and it didn't pretend like, because the things that make it Uncanny Valley and non-immersive aren't like the funny squirrels. It's the it's like the blue people with like the hair mating technique, or whatever.
If they did like just a David Attenborough nature documentary about Pandora, that would be an infinitely better movie.
That's what I'm saying. That's my thing with Avatar. So the only reason I'm going to see Avatar 2 and 3 is A, for the B-roll, and B, because Vin Diesel's in it.
Is Pokemon Snap?
Yeah, Vin Diesel's allegedly cast in Avatars 2 and 3.
Okay, I'm in.
Wait, so is Pokemon Snap developed by Game Freak, the people who did Sword and Shield? Or
it's a different company.
HAL. It's developed by HAL.
No, that was the first one.
Kirby. Oh, this is a different one is developing the new Snip.
New company.
Okay.
Ooh. New company. That's why it looks a little shinier, but I guess also because graphics are better now.
I don't think I like Game Freak very much, right? Like
Game Freak has been low-key fucking up for years.
Yeah.
Is that true? I mean, I still, I guess I'm sympathetic to Sword and Shield.
Sword and Shield sucked.
Yeah, that's what
I defy no. I loved Sword and Shield.
Yeah, I'm more with Alex on this. I don't think it was my favorite Pokemon, but, and like the plot was, well, the problem with the plot that was so frustrating is how they couldn't think of a good reason for you not to get involved with the main plot throughout the game. So constantly,
infuriating.
Constantly, it would be like a giant lasers hit the town and there's a Pokemon on the loose, but you don't need to worry about it. You just keep on going and becoming the champion. And you're like, I've got 3 level 60 dudes. I bet I could help. And they're like, no, get to that water gym. And it's like, well, that's fucking dumb as shit.
You have to get to the gym.
That's the funny thing about Pokemon is unique amongst RPGs where the story doesn't fucking matter at all. And it doesn't really enhance the game. Pokemon Black and White, despite having the best story objectively out of any Pokemon where it actually, has a theme and asks a moral question and resolves it, that no other Pokemon really does. It's the worst game, a lot of people would say, just because it has boring mechanics and it's especially grindy and dense with like the obstructive bullshit. What I really liked about fucking Sword and Shield was how fucking easy it is to level your fucking Pokemon, which has always to me been the point of fucking Pokemon, was to get your guys up.
It's nice when it's easy. It is nice. Yeah. It's just like the problem with Sword and Shield for me is that like Sun and Moon, Black, White 2, etc. are really fun, even though they have like story, like their stories aren't great, but they're there, whatever. But Sword and Shield story was so aggressive. Like they didn't have to have people come up to you and tell you that there was a story happening that you weren't allowed to participate in. Like that wasn't necessary. You could, every single one of those dialogue exchanges could be cut from the game would have been exactly the fucking same and just so much better because it wouldn't be teasing you with like, there's a movie happening, but you're not a part of it. Go do your Poke homework. Like, like that sucks. That's just like a unnecessary taunt.
The plot sucks, and honestly, it looks like a GameCube game. It looks like a PS2 game. It's just like, I don't really
care. I don't need it to be Monster Hunter.
I guess I don't need it to be Monster Hunter, and I don't need the graphics to just like be turned like superficially to 11, but it's not just a graphics thing. It's just like the engine of the game is like, could be so much more interesting, and like the worlds could be so much more lived in and inhabited. Like you could be exploring much more interesting looking worlds with like land puzzles. Like the game is like, it says it's like, oh, we're doing the same thing that we always do and we're doing it right, and we're not, but they don't ever add really anything new to it, so it feels stale to me now. Like, why wouldn't I just play Red and Blue again? Like, I don't know.
You want to hear my pitch for a Pokemon game?
Yeah,
in terms of just like how to vary it up. It takes place in a single city, and the gyms are based on district, and it's basically a GTA open world style.
Yeah, see, I fuck with that. I also would fuck with the Spec Ops The Line take.
If you get 5 stars, you have to fly your Charizard into an auto spray and change its color.
What about
Yeah,
like
exactly.
an XCOM 2, like real-time
tactical?
strategy? Yeah.
Yeah, like a Fire Emblem.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
that would,
permadeath.
there's permadeath. You have to like take your Pokemon to school so that they can like slowly level up at horse riding or whatever. Now I'm just literally talking about Fire Emblem.
I guess I think about the way that like, look, they took like the original Final Fantasy VII game and they made something like new with it that feels spiritually like a successor still. And it's like, I don't know. I think Pokemon needs to start taking bigger risks.
Yeah, I think everyone is in agreement with that. But that's the thing is, people use Pokemon because it's easy, because it's a grind fest, because it has that easy dopamine hit. People don't really use it for the same purposes as a Final Fantasy, which is primarily about getting to know some nice spiky haired boys and sympathize with their emotions. Pokemon is more about grinding. That's what it's pretty much always been about. And as long as it delivers that for people, it just has a stranglehold.
It is.
You know, yeah.
It is in some ways the opposite of, for instance, The Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
As insofar as we understand The Last of Us 2 to be, right? Like it has no aspiration to be Schindler's List. It has no interest in being Schindler's List. It's just collect these mons, and occasionally go into a room and see a Pokemon like heating up an oven and wait for it to be like, it's a living.
What if the zombies in Last of Us 2 Dynamax?
Oh no! Do you think that's what they mean by Schindler's List? There's like a lot of red stuff.
I hate, dude. I hate the Dynamaxing thing, like the making the Pokemon big. It was
that was fucking stupid.
So stupid.
Yeah, replacing Mega Evolutions with that was dumb.
I was opposed to it until I got to the part where you fight the Dragon Trainer and he has a Pokemon who Dynamaxes into a giant building.
Yeah, that was
cool.
actually all worth
it. That's Gigantamax, and it's super rare. It's so rare that. But once again, that's the grindy nature of it, because you have to keep grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding until you get a Gigantamax Pokemon, which is the whole fucking point of Pokemon. Get those little quick dopamine hits every time, constantly.
So a Pokemon turned into a building?
Yeah, it's a Pokemon whose Gigantamax form is just like a huge building with like eyeballs and tiny feet, and it's incredible. It's like that's like half the reason I play those games is for the design shit anyway. Like if I just get to see like, if I can be really stoned and like listening to like a podcast and playing Pokemon and then just see like 10 things that make me go, oh, what? That's weird. Well, who decided that this was okay? Then I'm like, this is a fun experience for me. I'm good. It's like the expectations are just different, I think, with Pokemon. Wait, so can we? I do want to go talk. I want to talk more about The Last of Us 2 because
I do too. Do you guys like
what
that
is
game?
I haven't played. I know I've seen you've been having some choice opinions on Twitter, Griffin.
I've seen some Let's Plays of Last of Us, and I am aware.
Okay. For sure. Well, you're just, I mean, at least you don't have to know about the game to know that it's like one of the most popular things like in games.
Prestige.
It's like if it's a year where big movies are coming out, it's like a big blockbuster movie, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's also like, you know, there's like that, this is a very like classic gaming discourse thing, but like every year or two, a game comes out that manages to like hit graphics, story, gameplay all at a level that hasn't happened before, and it becomes the new flagship games equals art thing.
Yeah, the last one I remember about is like the God of War.
Right, the most recent God of War was definitely the most recent example of that happening.
PS4,
and I'm starting to realize that like our greatest video game creators, just the only thing that they all have to say is like, oh, being a dad is hard. Like that's basically like the only competent story we've gotten in the last 10 years.
God of War, Death Stranding,
original Last of Us.
Last of Us.
The one secret, there's two secrets about this. One is that the best art video games are all fucking indie games.
Yeah.
Like the ones that actually get at cool ideas and are like coherent and like artistically challenging are all fucking like $5
except for Metal Gear Solid 3, which is all about why being a mom is hard.
Yeah, well, I was going to say the other thing is that the other side is that the only other really challenging artistic games are fucking Kojima games.
We lost Lux after he praised Kojima. There he is.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Tetsuya Nomura games are secretly very deep.
Yes, and I'll fight you to the death, barehanded in the gulag over that one.
Yeah, you guys.
Final Fantasy VII Remake actually gives a lot of credence to the fact that Tetsuya Nomura maybe not such a shit scriptwriter after all.
Yeah, that one rocked.
Yeah, that one's very impressive to me.
But getting back to The Last of Us, me and Lux I feel like we have two slightly different perspectives on the reviews, right?
Yeah,
I think we
do.
both agree that some of the reviews are just really dumb. But Lux,
what are the reviews? Is it just plainly effusive, just across
two types
the
of
board
reviews?
and
Two
across
types
the
of
board?
reviews. There's a type of reviewer, because all video game reviewers are really dumb. So I would say like 80% of them are like 10 out of 10 because it was the saddest game ever. I can't look my family in the eyes and I wet myself every morning. Like, it's ruined my life, and 10 out of 10. And just like that's just a terrible fucking review. And then the other 20% of people are like, they're doing this thing where they're like, this game is very violent, and I think that is bad. And it's just like, have you played a video game? Like, video games are inherently violent. Like, imagine reviewing Call of Duty Warzone and saying that, like, you're gonna shoot soldiers,
but also The Last of Us, from the brief amount I've played any of the games, it has among the least romanticized violence in any video game. It's always horrible. You always don't want to be in combat.
Yeah, and that's what they're kind of trying to speak to. They're like, oh, like, I don't want to be with this violence, but I just think it's a very specific genre. It reminds me of, like, I think it would, if it was a film, not a video game, I think movie critics would like understand it a little bit more, because there's like a lot of films that are like kind of confusing, don't really spell out a message, but make you endure like really violent things and like explore and meditate on violence. And I think that because it's a video game, I think people are having a harder time grappling with that. But it's also video games are violent, so
they think it's inherently exploitative. But there are video games where the violence is more exploitative, or it's contextualized less elegantly,
like Doom or something.
Special Ops: The Line. Get this.
The Spec Ops: The Line was the first one where everyone was like, "Oh, you can use violence to critique violence."
Right.
Because that game's very smart. My thing with my beef with the Last of Us 2 reviews is that, like, I hate it when games really just want everyone to talk about them like they're movies. And one of the symptoms of this is that games think that it's more important to be intellectually rigorous and to project an air of intellectual rigor than it is to be fun.
Yeah.
Very, very few games can pull that off. There's just not a lot. And I don't know if The Last of Us 2 does it or not. I haven't played the game yet. I have no idea.
Yeah.
The game that comes to mind as like intellectual rigor plus fun to me just makes me immediately think of Stanley Parable.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a great example.
Something like Everything.
Everything
but
is
those games are they're not really like conventional games in any respect.
But I'd even say that the new God of War gets to this. Like, it's a smart story. It's thematically clear. It's making an argument. It's also insanely fun to play. And the degree to which is fun only undercuts the argument in like one small spot. Right? Yeah. BioShock's another great example of this. It's a game that's really fun to play, and it's also making a point. BioShock is a great example of failing to do this.
Witcher 3 is extremely stupid, on the other hand, and makes the point of just being dumb.
See, what I like about Witcher 3,
awesome. I love Witcher 3.
I have an argument that Witcher 3 is actually much smarter than people give it credit for.
Really? I don't think it's like an intellect trying to be stimulating intellectually, though. They're definitely not trying to be, right?
I think it might be, because here's what I think it's doing, and then this might just be like, because I have to write like culture critiques all the time, having to like justify the things I do in my head. So this may just be that. But I think there's an argument made that Witcher 3 is really critiquing the sort of like, you're one superpower dude and you change the whole universe structure of video games. Because throughout The Witcher 3, you know, you can kill the spy master, but then a shitty king takes over. Or you can help the spy master kill the king. You can kill the spy master, but then the king stays shitty and things go wrong and the empire wins. Or you can kill the king with the spy master and a new, even worse king takes over. So, like, it's this thing where, like, no matter how fucking awesome at killing monsters you are and how cool and handsome you are and how many witches you fuck in the woods and, like, how many fireballs you can make with your Igni sign, you can't actually change the course of history.
The course of politics.
Yeah, like, history and politics are happening with so many variable factors That
Yes.
one super cool superhero, even if he has two swords.
Even if he lays the greatest of pipes.
Yeah. Even if he is a three-way swordsman, if you really think about it, wink. Like it doesn't fucking matter. Like he can't actually change the structural violence or like the problems of Temeria and shit. Which I think is a cool argument. I also think it's possible I'm projecting a lot of this, but I think it's in the text. I really do think it's
No,
in the
it
text.
100% is because it's an RPG that doesn't cast you as the most important person in the world. Every other video game's like you are the person that will change this whole world, and no one ever says that in The Witcher.
Yeah, everyone's just like, shit's gonna be so like. There's so many parts in The Witcher where you're like, I killed the Balrog, and they're like, great, here's $100, but I guess we're all gonna starve anyway. And it's like,
why would you wait? What is the argument for The Witcher is actually stupid? Because it's super campy.
Yeah, and it's like very sex forward a lot of the time.
It's very sex forward. But there's that fucking sequence with what's her name? Kira Metz, who like sends you on all these tasks, and it turns out that all the tasks are so she can set up a picnic and try and seduce you in the woods. Yeah. Like it's that that kind of shit definitely gives credence to that the game is dumb.
I think it's The Witcher 3. It's a little smart, but it's for the lads.
That's the most fun I've had playing an RPG in a long time.
It's funny because that series contains both my favorite RPG stuff, which is The Witcher 3, and my single least favorite thing I've ever done playing a video game, which is Chapter 4 of The Witcher 2 or The Witcher 1. Where you have to navigate through a swamp, and all the time every background looks exactly the same, and there isn't really a map, and you can't really hand draw it because everything looks the same, and so you just are just kind of randomly moving in directions until eventually you get out, and then the next part's amazing. So it's kind of worth playing through this like potentially infinitely long slog of swamp wandering to get to like the cool Camelot Lady in the Lake stuff. But like that middle part, just oh my god, I hate it. I'm not normally a throw my controller kind of guy. Like I don't usually get mad at video games. I usually just like once I start not having fun, just like go smoke a cigarette or something and like read a book. But oh my god, that game made me so fucking mad.
The Witcher, based off of a horny Polish novelist's view of medieval world, had a Game of Thrones like narrative where it does have this meta political analysis of fantasy tropes.
Yeah, the books are fine. The books are too horny, obviously.
But I think that's endemic to fantasy too. Even the fucking Lord of the Rings series has materialist analysis in it, which is very funny to think about. But there are reasons why people get exiled, and there are reasons there are like political resource-based reasons why stuff happens in Lord of the Rings.
Right. Well, I mean that's an easy way to like quickly tell if the fantasy novel you're reading is good or bad. Right. As someone who spent the month of May reading Warhammer novels and cranked through 18 of them bad boys, I can tell you that like you could tell like 50, 60 pages into any given Warhammer novel whether or not it's going to suck ass just based on like, are things the way they are because the author said that's what's happening, or are things the way they are because of like specific conditions? And if there are specific conditions to why things are going on, usually the books are pretty good. And if it's just like the author's like, and the reason everyone was at war is because there was a big war, then it's like, okay, this book sucks. Like it's dumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That's like a real thing in fantasy is like good world building isn't just like having a forest where every tree has a name. Like that's dumb and annoying. A good world building is like
knowing, the supply chains of potatoes from the Shire to Bree.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Dorne's where all the wine comes from, but all the food comes from the Arbor, and that's why like the Stormlands are so important because that's the bridge between the two. Like Game of Thrones. Woo!
Now that we talk about this, what was Voldemort's grand plan that had to be stopped?
He was racist. He wanted to kill the Muggles. He wanted to kill all Muggles.
Oh, he wanted to kill the humans.
His goal was to purify Wizard Society and then take the newly purified Wizard Society and I guess like enslave or murder non-wizards.
Okay.
He's genocide. He's Wiz Hitler.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah, that's why people love.
None of them powerful enough to make it like a separate planet, or am I being a dirty like wizard segregationist?
No,
all the Nazi wizards can go to Nazi wizard live.
I'm against two planets. I say make them live next to us so I can get them.
Griffin's looking for a one planet solution. But yeah, no, you're right. They probably should have just made a separate planet. Although, like, look, I mean, surely J.K. Rowling has some weird transphobic reason why that's impossible. I still can't get over
see, the wizards will feel unsafe in their planet knowing that anyone could just, barge in at any moment, you see.
It's very funny to me.
Last time I thought it was called Mother Gaia.
Like, it's very funny to me that she, like, is just, like, she fucking wrote about how wizards poop and dispose of it. You know, like that whole thing where it's like, like she got into that shit. And it's just like, if you're going to be that fucking granular, like now you've opened yourself up to any question, right? Like that's, if you're a dumb transphobic idiot, like J.K. Rowling, what you shouldn't do is provide super granular analysis of your world because someone's going to ask about everything.
No, but that's not even J.K. Rowling's problem. She's not getting asked questions. She's delivering a press conference no one asked for.
Oh, well, now that's what's happening.
Like, that wasn't how it's doing.
That wasn't how it started, but that's what it has become.
Yeah, I mean,
it has become her just firing off blog posts that are
like at the weirdest times, like, yo, what's up? Like,
yeah.
But okay, so that's, I think, talking about earlier, I think that speaks to the poor world building in Harry Potter, whereas like a world of Tolkien's could like withstand further scrutiny and have like logical answers to apocryphal questions. J.K. Rowling has to make it up as they go along because a lot of shit gets unanswered in the wizarding community because it exists it doesn't exist in its own fantasy universe, but in a world parallel to ours. The question always comes up with Harry Potter is, so these wizards just like ignored the Holocaust?
Yes,
right.
I'm predicting she writes some kind of like Silmarillion esoteric, like Rosicrucian style.
We need the Rowlarillion.
Yeah, the Rowlarillion. Yeah, absolutely. Like it's she's, I don't know, man. Like you're totally like. Well, I think a big thing with Harry Potter, right, is that it's a fucking Christ story. It's like it's absolutely a Christian allegory, 100 million %.
Yeah. Revival,
all the world building around it was sort of just flavor for getting her Christ story out there.
Yeah, I've been swapping out the pages of Harry Potter with Bibles and churches, and no one's noticed.
Griffin's ultimate scheme.
No one has any idea.
But like, yeah, but so it's like it's a Christ story, and it's all just fucking flavor. And then when it turned out people loved the fucking books because that flavor, admittedly, is like pretty fun, and like the literary work in the books is like much better than most children's books of that type. Everyone was like, well, I want to know more about this world. And she was like, oh no, the world wasn't the point. The Jesus boy was the point.
Yeah, right.
And everyone's like, oh no, you misunderstood the thing you did.
Yeah.
Like what you did was create a world we have questions about. What you didn't do was create a story where like we love, like almost no one's favorite Harry Potter character is Harry Potter, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Everyone's like, I stand a Dumbledore or whatever.
Like, Luna Lovegood all the way. I love Luna.
Yeah.
They ruined it.
Some crazy drunk guy who's Luna Lovegood.
Just like walking down 6th Street in Austin. There's just a guy outside of like Coyote Ugly just being like, Luna Lovegood.
Oh man, I can't wait till we're 50. That'll happen.
Oh man, it's true. It's
Luna
so true.
Lovegood style strippers.
Oh no, that is gonna be real, isn't it? Like weird
wizard strippers.
Yeah, well, weird Harry Potter strippers, and like
I think that's bad if they're role playing as students.
Yes. Well, I think it's bad for many reasons, but that's one of them for sure.
No, because that's very much a part of it. Harry Potter has always been a repressed. The other thing, other than a Jesus narrative, is it's the classic English boarding school tale, which is all about repressed sexuality. And that's why it's hot. And that's why you like Harry Potter, because they're horny teenagers that can't fuck or talk about fucking, but they have stolen glances. In terms of, and now like in terms of Riverdale, which we've also talked about in the teens fucking genre.
Riverdale, the greatest show in the world.
It's much more explicit, which is why it's less sexy to people than Harry Potter, I think.
Whoa, interesting.
I mean, it's true. Like Riverdale's like these guys fuck, and there's no mystery.
Yeah,
there's no mystery.
Whereas like Harry Potter, you know they're fucking. They're just not telling you.
Wow, I never even considered them having sex. That's crazy.
And you know they're magical little kids, so they're doing weird shit. You know.
Wow. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's crazy to me.
People are like, there's definitely like weird, horny Harry Potter stuff now, and it's only going to get worse. I mean, maybe it won't, because there's definitely like a culture break in some of these places where people are like, you know what, this is enough from JK, and I think I'm sort of done with it. She's definitely like, because like the Harry Potter community is, to be totally, I mean, it's politics are sort of stupid and there's a lot of stupid things about it, but most of the people, very lib, but a lot of the people in it are like sincerely well-meaning, just like, we wish everyone was friends and we love everyone and we should all get along. And then she's just like, everyone except for trans people, and they're like, no, we meant everyone. And then she's like, okay, but what I meant with the books. And everyone's like, no, stop.
Identifying with a Harry Potter house just supplants everyone's secret desire to be part of a gang.
It's
Gryffindor.
I mean, it's true to an extent. Well, it's the same. It's the Four Humors. It's the Ninja Turtles. It's the Golden Girls. It's Seinfeld. Like, you have there. It's very easy to break up people into like brave, sneaky, smart, goofy. Like, easy. Right. That's an easy 4 categories. And then it's very easy to like, and then people identify with them because those are traits that we all sort of like think about in ourselves all the time. But instead of it being like it's a character with whom you identify, they're like it's a whole house and everyone's like you and you're all best friends and you drink butterbeer, a drink that doesn't sound good at all to me. And you fucking hang out with dragons and a weird man with a beard and he tells you secrets and like that's your life and like people love it. I never
considered that. A room of Gryffindors is a room of Leonardos. That is the most boring shit I've ever fucking heard.
Awful.
It's a room of Carries. Oh my god! Terrible.
That's bad. That's like
Carrie from Sex and the City.
Yeah, it's like Hogwarts doesn't understand an ensemble.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of absolutely, because they're all the same character.
Like, do you think?
Which is why Luna Lovegood is everyone's favorite character, because she actually provides a different perspective from the rest of these fucking
look at Entourage.
Rich boy dipshits.
Do you think that Turtle would be in the same house as Drama? Not on your life. And I think that would fuck up the whole thing. Like people, I think she doesn't accept people that are different need to be with people who are different. And that's a weird ideology. I personally, after all this, after a few days, it's all terrible what she said, disgusting. But and the one bright light is that now there's a lot less Harry Potter signs at the protests.
Yes,
and
that is true.
There's a lot less people being like, "Here's Dumbledore's army presenting to join the masses." Like
Accio cancel.
I did see a few of those actually. I have seen a few in LA, but I feel like they've gotten quiet, and I think that's a positive.
Do you think the cops will start cracking down on people for uttering threats because they have Avada Kedavra signs?
I think the cops
That is a death threat, sir.
I think the cops are ready to shoot McGriddles. So I don't know.
Oh God, I've watched that video 100 times today.
You guys go to McDonald's this morning?
The tearful lady cop.
Tearful lady cop who is.
No one knows who she works for now, though. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's a Meg Stalter character.
They can't figure out what police she actually works for.
Incredible. Which that seems crazy because that seems like that has to be like a rule.
Because she had 10 guns in her car.
Who haven't seen it, even though it's a viral thing, Steven, describe this tearful lady cop video.
Well, she's basically complaining about not immediately getting fast food at the fast food place, which is an experience that all of us have had like so many times. You place an order at the fast food place and then you're like, they shouldn't call it fast food. But she starts crying because of it. And I think it's related to the Shake Shack fake news poisoning.
Yeah, she thinks she's getting poisoned by the people at McDonald's. I think is the thrust of it.
It's taken them a while to have bad service at the McDonald's because they're poisoning it, not because it's a McDonald's.
Well, and this is a recurring thing with cops. Is projecting their everyone's our enemy thing onto people who do basic services, because a couple months ago, if you don't remember, there was the cop who lied about getting a Starbucks cup that said pig on it, and before that there was the truly glorious cop who said the McDonald's guy took a bite out of his sandwich and then later was like, oh no, I did that and forgot.
The bite thief was incredible.
The bite, and so it's this insane trend. Like how, like people are like, we need the police to protect us, and it's like the people who do this job are like the dumbest motherfuckers on earth.
The reason it's taking so long is because they're probably like terrified of having to go hand the cops something.
Right, because they don't want because they still have the poison on their hands, right?
You don't want to get in trouble at work. Like the last thing you want to do is get in trouble at work. And now, like no matter what you do, when a cop comes through,
I work at a
restaurant.
I worked at a restaurant. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, like there was all sorts of times where cops would just like walk through the restaurant, and it was just like, why? Like, why is this happening right now? It was always weird. Thankfully, we weren't one of those places that like had to give them discounts or something. That's some weird shit. But speaking to what Lux is saying specifically is like, I think that all of these freakouts are like a sign that like, we may not get everything that we want out of this thing legislatively, but I think one of the most effective things we can do is make them hate their job so much that they just quit. That we just make it so embarrassing, so day by day, you just feel and know fully how much the public hates you, and just like let that break them, and I just have them fucking quit.
Right. A fun comparison I like to make.
Okay.
A fun comparison I like to make is what happened to concentration camp guards after World War II.
Okay.
That's a fun one.
Which is
Capo Trap House.
Yeah, which is that
they became Chapo Trap House.
Capo Trap House.
They basically
that's the Chapo to Fash pipeline.
They basically
I was thinking.
They basically like some of them like reconciled their shit and tried to become functional community members, but a huge chunk of them just got super depressed and committed suicide, or like moved and like isolated themselves in like the Black Forest or whatever it is, the spooky place where Heidegger lived.
Schwarzwalder?
Yeah. And like they just like went away and like committed suicide. And like I feel like that's a fine outcome to me.
I'm reading this book. You should I can't show it because of the background.
Your background is covering it every time.
Hey, I'm sorry. Zoom is fact checking you. You're being censored.
The Devil's Chessboard.
You should read this book.
Alan Dulles.
Rory Blank has recommended that book as well.
The first part is about how the guy that like was the head of the CIA helped a lot of Nazis escape to America.
Yes, a shit ton.
Operation Paperclip?
Yeah, Barla von Braun, who helped make the nuclear missile.
And that's why I never trusted the Microsoft paperclip.
Yes. Clippy, I know. Clippy, I know about your parents.
Oh, I know he was ferried across. Yeah.
His name was Erich von Klippenstein.
Yeah, and now it's.
Are you looking for something? You misspelled that word.
Are you sure you are looking for this? Are you sure you are not looking for something else?
It always correct Luxembourg, my last name, to the proper German spelling and not the B-O-U. And it's like, no.
What's the proper German spelling?
B-O-U-R-G, like the country.
B-O-U-R-G.
Yeah, which is not.
Do you Rosa it? Are you Rosa-ing it with your last name?
The true story about that is that Luxembourg is the name of the family from which my grandparents stole a boat and came to America.
Hell yeah.
So we don't actually know our true familial name. Just that's the name that we stole through crime.
That was the name on the back of the boat. Which
admittedly, when I talk about the discomfort of like Jewish conspiracy theories and anti-Semitism stuff, like my whole family kind of is like, well, they're usually wrong, but like with us, they're kind of not.
Isn't your dad a rabbi?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't know that was part of the conspiracy at all.
Well, just that we're like that there were sneaky tricksters is what I mean.
Yes. We steal.
They've spec'd in stealth, and that's not the same thing as being New World Order.
Right, exactly. Like our build is like a classic D&D bard. It's like charisma and dexterity.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't make us thieves and tricksters. It just means that we roll well when we're doing stealing and tricking.
Mm-hmm.
My family aren't thieves and tricksters historically, but they are extremely neurotic and have been for several generations. We can go back to old Woody Silverstein in 18th century Prussia.
No. Wow.
Oh wait, speaking of Prussia, I learned something weird today.
Okay,
so apparently in the 17th, 18th century, they had like a Prussian foot.
Okay.
As a measurement, like the Prussian foot. 6 Prussian feet is equal to 6.2 regular feet, which raises the question, why is there even a difference?
That was because nationalistic fervor, I believe, is the answer.
Is that true?
Yeah, I think because they were like and they probably made it a slightly longer on purpose.
Oh,
probably. I mean,
because it's like one of those like a foot is the foot of the king, and our king's got a bigger foot because he's got a bigger dick.
It could be.
Look, if you want to know why Prussians were anal about certain types of measurement, just know that it's the country that produced Immanuel Kant, the most anal man to have ever existed.
A man who, I think I've talked about this on multiple podcasts, but a man who did the same thing every day to the point that other people set their schedules to him doing his stuff.
That's beautiful.
Greenwich Kant time.
He's the original executive.
Yeah, like people were like, oh, Kant walks by the cafe every day at exactly 10:45.
What these people trying to kill him?
So like we can definitely like our store across the street we know we open at 11, so we have to start the process as soon as we see him walking by or whatever. Like it's a degree of like obsessive like repetition that I find utterly horrifying.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, doing that probably brought him great happiness. So
I don't know any of my roots. My family has been so apathetic with our family history that like I just have never been told really anything about where we come from. I think like someone was Italian once and someone was from Europe, but like I have just like I don't know, like I'm kind of starting from page 1 for my
do a 23andMe.
Don't do a 23andMe. Get a rogue biologist.
Well, first I need to tweet a challenge at Donald Trump, and then I'll do my 23andMe.
Yeah, you gotta do a 20. Here's why you should do a 23andMe. Because you know who designed the button that you press to order the 23andMe? A certain Daniel Luxembourg, my brother. Yeah, he was like got a freelance gig to just like code their buttons, and he was at the house and he was like, do you think this is a good 23andMe button? And I was like, I don't think anyone gives a shit. And he was like, yeah, you're right, I'll just send it in. And no one gave a shit, and that's the button looks like.
There you go. Nice. And now you get to I submitted my dog's DNA and he's 80% Ashkenazi Jewish.
Oh, cool. A match made in heaven.
There you go.
Great work at the dog zone.
It's good I know my blood quantum of my dog. They actually have dog 23andMe, which is very funny to me.
Yeah, and I haven't given my dog one, even though I'm curious because I have no idea what he is.
Yeah, Archer's like crazy mix of shit.
Yeah, so like what's the point?
Yeah, man, it's what a weird time, y'all. Wait, okay, Griffin, I know we've talked about getting canceled already. I saw someone tagged us in a thing on Instagram, but I can't find it. Is that real?
Yeah. It's gone.
Whoa.
They tagged you? Were you almost cancel tagged?
No, I've been tagged on multiple platforms this morning.
Oh man.
No.
But you, not GameBoiz, because I get notification of the GameBoiz shit.
GameBoiz was tagged in one of them. Yes.
Who has been calling you out? What members of the LA community?
It's
you don't have to name names, but
yeah, I mean it's two people that I'm kind of friends with. I think it's an especially bad day for everyone because of the Chris D'Elia thing. And yeah,
there you go.
And like, it is like
I didn't post it on Facebook. Our guest did.
Yeah, none of this would happen if fucking Dom had just not done anything. But Dom was trying to be a good friend and guest and fucked us.
And promote. Yeah, how dare a guest promote our show?
Yeah, he was being a cool dude and he boned us totally.
Okay, so it's people will only cancel you if they notice you, which is why do you ever in the Simpsons Elton John episode where Apu does all the love acts for Manjula, Apu actually says in it, I hate to sound like a screaming fag, and that's never been addressed.
Is that true?
That's absolutely true. You can look up Elton John on The Simpsons and look it up. And everyone's forgotten about the one time that Apu said, I hate to sound like a screaming fag. I mean, Apu's already canceled. But this is...
Well, this was the actual problem with Apu that no one was talking about.
Yeah, we didn't get enough Apu problems. Yeah, it's just like...
Specifically the scene when the Skywriter is closing down on them, Apu grabs Elton John by the shoulders and says, I hate to sound like a... I'm not going to do the voice.
What year is this?
This was, I want to say, it was Bad Simpsons. So 2001, 2002, when you could sort of, South Park was getting away with saying fag back then through Mr. Garrison.
Oh, right. Mr. Garrison, right.
The peak of the era. Yeah, I mean, like with our shit, like we kind of fucked up. We had a good joke. We didn't deliver it perfectly. We just are gonna apologize and have people on. It's gonna be fine. I think I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Yeah, it's like the Jewish concept of tshuva. Like we just have to. We did a bad thing, and now I have to do acts of loving kindness to repent for it, and then we'll get back to
right, like Louis C.K. shooting cops. And
I had the exact same thought, but sorry, we can leave it alone. No, you're absolutely. I mean, there's a limit to these things. I don't think we did anything quite so bad.
No, and we clarified the bit. It's very funny for Louis C.K. to try and do that. It's just not going to work because he's a bad guy. And I just, I guess for me, now that the more I think about this, like, I immediately think of Louis C.K., especially because it's been years now. I immediately think of him just as a bad guy. And it's like, when I talk about Hitler, I don't have to preface that I think Hitler is bad, right? Like when I make a Hitler joke, it's like it's assumed, right, in the lexicon of culture that he's bad.
Not anymore.
Well, I mean, okay, for normal people. I mean, if you look at me and you know me and I do comedy and we're like, I'm at the protests with you and stuff, it's like, I don't think you're going to assume, well, this guy's got a different take on Hitler.
If you have the vaguest smidgen of context, you will know that you are not pro Louis C.K.
And so maybe it is just context, and maybe it's time too. Like maybe it's just like it's just too soon, but I don't know. I think
it's just like, I think that with the bit not quite getting to like the logical point you were talking about where we like role play the people having the conversation, it just becomes like a little cheap in a way that what it was actually, I think, a legit pretty funny joke just doesn't get to its good end point because we just didn't get far enough. And that happens. I mean, I bet it would have been fine if we just gotten the Joker porn bit in the episode. It's too bad that had to get cut.
I think the Joker porn would have fixed it. But yeah, this is part 2 of the bit breakdown.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it. I just wanted to bring it all the way back around.
Yeah, no, I think it's funny actually. I really like the idea of you guys apologizing by offering to kill cops.
Do you think that would fix?
Yeah, I think that might fix it.
Avada Kedavra.
Cops keep trying to kill me. So
I once got pulled out of school in high school for joking that I had 2 dead cops in my car.
That's
there
funny.
Was
this story is amazing.
It's very funny because first of all, they're like pulling me out of school, and in my mind I'm like, are there 2 missing cops? like and if you're like really considering this to be a problem, I mean, hopefully you would know there's 2 missing cops within like a 50-mile radius of where you patrol. I don't know. That's the first thing. But yeah, I was like 15 and there was this like Facebook group called Fuck the Laguna Beach Police Department. And there was just like all these dumb kids like talking shit on the cops, but just in their own dumb ways. And I just like, made the joke like, yeah, I hate the cops. That's why I've got 2 dead cops in my trunk. And like 6 officers pulled me out of science class. That's how like little they have to do in like Newport Beach is like they troll Facebook and then wait for the high school parties to start.
That's why they have computers in their cars.
Yeah, just to troll Facebook. They're just like Facebook machines.
Yeah.
I mean, someone's got to do it.
Oh my God. California.
Hey, you guys, I gotta
knows
go.
how to party.
I actually gotta go, you guys. So
all right.
This has been awesome.
Yeah, it's been really fun being on here with you guys for sure.
We've loved having the GameBoiz on. If you have any plugs, plug them now.
Oh yeah, let me get one. I've returned to prank calling for Not Even a Show, and in the past couple days, I've gotten Dennis Prager, and today I bagged me a Seb Gorka.
That's awesome.
Gorka.
Yeah, got me a Gorka. And so go on YouTube, look up Not Even a Show, and check out this week's episode where we have the Dennis Prager turkey time, where we got 4 straight phone calls that were pranks on his show. And then this coming Sunday, I guess it's what's Sunday? It's going to be like the 21st. I have the episode where we hit Gorka and did some other stuff.
You physically fight him?
No, but I prank him about how big his head is, and then I called him Seb, and he was like, "You don't call me Seb," and I was like, "Seb, calm down." He was like, "You don't call me Seb." It's very funny.
You're doing kind of an Alex Jones right there.
He gets a little Alex Jonesy when he's yelling at you for calling him Seb. It turns out, who could have known? Not
I'm
me.
Seb. You must call me Seb.
Just call me Sebastian.
Call me Sebastian.
And then obviously check out the GameBoiz podcast.
The GameBoiz podcast is good. I was recently on an episode.
Alex is on an episode. One day Steven will be on an episode. Who can say?
Awesome.
And then Griffin, do you have anything you want to plug that isn't that aside from like Black Lives Matter stuff, which you should all donate to?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I want to plug the fact that I just got my unemployment check and I'm spending it all on Black Lives Matter, baby. Let's go. I'm taking from the system, pushing it right back in. So yeah, spend some fucking money. Open your wallets. Donate some places. I have heard that there is like 1 or 2 associations called Black Lives Matter that aren't Black Lives Matter and are like actually like trying to trick you. So be careful for those.
Yeah, it's Blake Lives Matter, which just goes directly to Blake Griffin.
Oh, and I thought you were going to say Blake Lively.
Yeah, I said Blake Lively matters.
No, I don't know why I think it's funnier if Blake Griffin is a profiteer off of this. Actually, that's probably charged. Forget I said that. Forget everything.
Yeah, well, wait, Alex, you're being tagged in something on Facebook right now.
Internet's going crazy.
Blake Griffin, no. You were the funniest part of that one roast.
But yeah, I think that's all we got, right?
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, we love you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, y'all.
Have a very good night.
Y'all too. All right.